Episode 9
Coming to you from the new wash bay.
of Between Two Wheels, the all stainless steel episode.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to talk about some stuff that people like and don't like, as is sort of where we're going here. Some internet polls have given us some insights into the world of what is good and what is bad. We're going to break down a little bit of what we like and a little bit of what is clearly not crushing it for people.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, modern features that are loved or hated. Where's your head at? What do you like?
For me, I really like the internal storage. I'm not a fan of the internal routing. It was pretty interesting to look at that Pink Bike article, and I'd vote like most bike geeks are on the same page. Like you can see where people got fried for doing certain things and where some guys didn't. And
yeah. I think like clearly there was a few specific things like proprietary suspension dampers, proprietary tools for certain like frame disassembly procedures. Those are obviously not loved. I mean, number one with a bullet, the villain of the century was internal headset cabling.
I don't know anybody on the planet that actually likes that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if I was an ultra high level road nerd, I'd be all about it just because it's so rad. But having worked on it.
As long as you don't work on your own bike.
Yeah, when you work on it, you're kind of like, man, this is not as cool as I thought.
Yeah, and the amount of times that it actually causes grief in the sense like how either the bike turns or how like the creaking and that stuff. Like,
that's the one that slays me is the noise. Ooh. Like it does. You get like your bike is haunted half the time.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So yeah, that one was not a shock to me to see that one.
No, you mentioned the proprietary shock, and it's pretty funny when you say that. Just the fact that like the big boys, like be it Trek or Specialized or Cannondale, those guys are always trying to do their own stuff.
Yep.
And we sell lots of Trek.
Yep.
And this first thing that happened when Trek pulled off their proprietary shock, people liked the bikes again. Like people were pretty freaked out with, even though some of that Penske stuff was super cool. It wasn't a winner.
It's such a I think some of the trouble is like they're looking for like aggregate gains, right? Like they're pushing the envelope, which I totally salute them for. But in some cases, I think they're solving problems that are not really
100%
a thing for people.
100%. And you make it so then it's like the bike is going to be harder to set up with the different shocks.
Yep.
It's harder to get your service done.
Yep.
Just on and on and on.
And legacy parts become a thing too. Like after 7 years, it seems like you're in trouble.
Totally.
So yeah, I'm not a huge proponent of that. Things like a lot of the geometry stuff that people have talked about in that poll and elsewhere, like the too short a seat post insertion and chainstay lengths, like the head angles being too steep or seat tube angles not being a certain number. Like I think that stuff's all, for me, that I was like whatever, because
it's preference.
That's been some of that's preference, but it's part and parcel of what we're dealing with. Like we've always had those conversations for 30 years.
Totally.
Just what the goalposts just move. So I don't know, that one people worry about it I think a little more than they need to.
Yeah, I'm like, the internal storage thing to me is like such a win. It's funny talking to some people at the shop the last week, and some people are like, I don't care if it has internal storage.
Yeah, you love it.
I think it's
semi-indifferent.
Awesome.
So
it's being able to get your like a nice warm hot dog in the down tube for mid-ride, it's magic.
I like it. I like it on my gravel bike actually. I use it a lot more than I thought I would. On the mountain bikes that I've had so far that have it, I'm kind of like sort of into it for like short rides. But I confess to being a chronic overpacker too, so I sometimes still need my trusty fanny pack.
Nothing wrong with fanny pack.
Get my tools.
The one thing with those things, you got to check them now and then. Like the number of times that you've rammed stuff in there and you've burned a hole in the tube, or you put a CO2 cartridge back in there thinking it was full, but you actually used it on a ride. Yeah. Like they definitely can be gremlin-y that way, that you've like forgot to put the stuff back in it. Yeah,
definitely. I guess also like whether you're talking frame storage or bag, you can't just let the stuff rot in there either.
Totally,
tools will be seized up, and you get chain breaks are useless.
The rusted chain breaker that doesn't work anymore.
The rusty chain breaker is, if that was the name of an IPA, I would understand, but it's not something that I want on my person.
Yeah, it's a true story.
That's for sure. I think it's pretty important to highlight like what we are seeing as a success story. Like there's a lot of stuff the mountain bike industry, well, the bike industry, but the mountain bike scene, like UDH for instance, like come on, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And like I wish they had that 10, 12, 300 years ago roughly.
You don't like the big huge charts we have in the back of the shop, but they're trying to pick out all the different derailleur hangers?
Having 400 part numbers in the system for derailleur hangers is great.
That's
super
great.
helpful. No, I think that's a super good thing, and you know, you hear some people kind of chirping because SRAM was setting the table for transmission, and I'm like, well, but it has made bikes easier to deal with.
Yeah, being able to go to any bike shop anywhere and get a hanger is pretty magical.
1,000% correct.
Yeah.
So I dig that. I like where we're at geometry wise. Is we've kind of hit this topic here and there, but I think generally speaking, things are in top shape there.
They're kind of flattening. It's not
we seem
crazy.
like we've landed on some like sensible scenarios. So
no, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, things like rear hub spacing, like Super Boost was like the villain of the century on that one pole. And that I kind of get. That one's a bit of a.
That one was a bit of a bummer. Like I get what they were trying to do, but man, like everyone just got over like getting murdered on having a set of 26-inch wheels. Then they had 27-inch wheels, and then they had 29, and now they need one of each.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the rear hub spacing doesn't work, and people are just like, And I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's like make it stop.
Yeah, and that stuff just needs to stabilize, and it generally has. But
the incremental gains you're getting, like it didn't make sense.
Yeah, brutal.
I think one of my favorite notes going through that poll though was like we're all the same. Like it's got to look good. The bike's got to look good.
Yeah.
People are like, some people just don't care if the thing looks terrible but rides wicked. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
It's pretty interesting.
I mean, you see it on the floor. People are often driven by what the bike looks like and the whole sort of just the vibe of it. I get it. I want my bikes to look rad.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm prepared to put up with certain things if my bike looks wicked. So I admit it.
Yeah, I do love that we are all in the end a little vain. We want our shit to look good.
Well, it's what you do, right? You got to be. I mean, if you don't look good, then what do you got?
And what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
So, I'm trying to think of there was a couple other things that stood out to me in that poll that I thought people were kind of like sort of landing on, where I was almost surprised that some of it would still be in the conversation. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example, like the internal cable routing thing. I'm like, I don't understand why people are still, like, the headset thing is a separate problem.
Totally.
Like internal cable routing at this point in my mind is almost a slam dunk, provided the manufacturer does it right. And most of the guys are doing it pretty well these days.
You can get snafu'd by some terribly done stuff still.
Yeah.
But like any of the guys we deal with pretty much have it dialed. The only thing I can say is like some guys get choked, when you got to cut a brake cable to get to the back end if you're just taking it from bike to bike. But the grand scheme of things, that's pretty minor these days.
Yeah, there's still some bikes that come out of the box with like where all the hoses need to be trimmed. And that one baffles me, where I'm like, what's up? Like, you're using the same line kit for the small as you use the double extra large.
You can go to Red Bull Rampage, do some bar spins.
Yeah, well, I know that's what I would be doing if I went to Rampage, would be bar spins, because that's just what else.
My bar would spin when I crashed. Yeah,
my bar would spin. I'm not saying it would be on purpose, but So I don't know. I think overall the stuff that people don't like is there, but I think there's more stuff to like these days than not like. So.
Yeah, I think we can't forget, like, we're in the golden age of like just how good everything is. Like, we're always been a huge Santa Cruz dealer for a long time, and part of the reason is that those guys make great bikes, and there's not a lot of service to them. Yeah. But like, I would vote, they're still top of the class and killing it, but a lot of other brands we carry are at least within 5% of that now. And it's not like back in the day where we'd sell a bike and it was 50% as reliable. Totally. Like, we're in the whole bike industry is just in better shape that way.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking to myself, like, when was the last time I was truly bent out of shape trying to like do pivots on something or whatever? And we've got this down to the point now where I think it's pretty low key. Dropping a motor to do stuff is always.
Yeah, e-bike stuff's changing.
E-bike stuff's trickier, but although that even is getting much cleaner, and
the number of times though you got the propane torch out and some sort of drift is like almost non-existent now. Yeah. Compared to that was just a standard part of the toolbox.
Yeah, actually, I kind of miss the blowtorch days a bit. I like fire.
Yeah, it's fun, but like it definitely scares people.
The novelty wears off after about 20 minutes though, and you still haven't got the part out.
It's true.
Then you don't like fire anymore. So
it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I want to actually hear in comments and stuff about, like, obviously Pink Bike did their poll, but I'd love to see like what the big hatred is like from people that are watching this show or following the store on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, hit us up with stuff that you want to see debated. We're up for any controversy.
Yeah, we like the controversy.
Yeah, we can get into like whatever scandalous mountain bike designs that anybody can bring to us. So
Head tube angles to skin wall tires to cable routing.
Oh man, don't start the skin wall tire talk again. That caused a civil war last week.
I know, it's good stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, but hit us up, comment, subscribe, give us feedback. We're going after this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, folks.
Ciao.